Hey everybody, welcome to No Bones About Wrestling. I'm your host Asa, and I'm here with Kay Fabulous.
Hey.
And this is This Week in AEW. We're going to talk to you about some match results. We're going to talk about some AEW news, some rumors,
Storyline
updates, lots of AEW stuff, as the title of the show would lead you to believe. So first, let's hop right in and let's just talk about some match results right quick. AEW Dynamite, August 23rd, Duluth, Georgia. And Kay, would you do me a favor and see where Collision was, August 26th?
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it taped after Dynamite?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was. So it was in Duluth, Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, they're both in Duluth, Georgia. Dynamite in Duluth, Georgia. Jon Moxley beat Rey Fenix by referee stoppage with a sleeper hold. There was a tornado tag team match. Darby Allin and Nick Wayne beat Swerve Strickland and A.R. Fox. And then A.R. Fox got kicked out of the Mogul Embassy. Ruby Soho pinned Sky Blue. And in the Ring of Honor World Tag Team title match, Aussie Open kept their titles by beating the Hardys. Kind of a strange lineup there on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd. An odd lineup on Collision this week, too. Collision, August 26th. Kip Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade beat International Champion Orange Cassidy, New Japan Openweight Champion Eddie Kingston, and Penta El Cerro Miedo in a trios match. Big win there for Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade. In a tag team match, John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order beat Darius Martin and Action Andretti. In a singles match, Big Bill pinned Vary Morales, squash match. Wasn't Ricky Starks Big Bill's manager?
Yeah, he's Big Bill's manager right now. He got his manager's license.
Good pickup for Ricky, yeah. Willow Nightingale pinned Robin Renegade. Keith Lee pinned Zicky Dice. And that's a jobber name if I've ever heard one. Zicky Dice. And in the big 8-man tag main event, CM Punk, Sting, Darby Allin, and Hook. That's a team there. That's a fucking team. They beat Jay White, TNT champion Luchasaurus, 1/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champs Brian Cage, and Swerve Strickland. And that was your Collision results. And we got one more show because we had a pay-per-view. I'm not doing the Rampage results, but I will do the pay-per-view results real quick. And the pay-per-view, of course, was in London, England on the 27th. Yeah. Aussie Open in a Ring of Honor World Tag Team title match. Better Than You Baby beat Aussie Open. So MJF and Adam Cole, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team champions, winning the belts from Aussie Open. And that match was 4 bones out of 5. In an FTW title match, Hook got the win over Jack Perry with the Red Rum. Match was 3.5 bones out of 5. In a match for the real world title, CM Punk hit the Pepsi Plunge and got the pin on Samoa Joe. The match, 4 bones out of 5. In a trios match, the Golden Elite defeated Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Konosuke Takeshita. Other way around. Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Konosuke Takeshita defeated the Golden Elite in a trios match. And that was 4 bones out of 5. In the AEW World Tag Team title match, FTR successfully defended their belts against the Young Bucks in a 4.5 bone out of 5 match. Very good match. Probably the second best match of the night. In the Stadium Stampede match, trying to see which team won. It was the heels won.
No, the faces won.
The faces won. Eddie Kingston, Penta El Cero, oh that's right, Penta El Cero Miedo, the Best Friends, and Orange Cassidy beat the team of the Blackpool Combat Club, Mike Santana, and Ortiz in the Stadium Stampede. That was a wild fucking match. 4 bones out of 5. In a fatal 4-way match for the AEW Women's title, shamefully the only women's match on the show. Tony Khan should be ashamed of himself, and I'm not trying to be funny or quirky or anything like that. I mean it. The man has a good women's roster. He has talent. 11 matches on the show. There's no reason that there's only one women's match. There should be at least 2, and really probably 3. Inexcusable to only have 1. I know I said this the other day on the pay-per-view recap, and I'm saying it again. Inexcusable. And at this rate, if Tony Khan just wants to have 1 per show, Tony, just ditch the division, man. If you don't want to have 1, it's your company. Nobody's going to make you have 1. Just ditch it. You obviously don't want to have 1, so just ditch the division and just have men's wrestling. And let these women go someplace that they will be valued. In the Fatal 4-Way women's title match, Saraya beat women's champion Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, and Dr. Britt Baker DMD. This match also saw the undoing of the Outcasts. They pretty much were flat out fighting each other. Ruby Soho came in to interrupt the match, and she got punched in the face. This also saw Saraya sprayed spray paint in Toni Storm's eyes. That's how she won the match. She spray painted her in the eyes and then pinned her. So I think the Outcasts are done. I don't see any healing coming from this. They were straight up fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out Wednesday. The tag team coffin match, Sting and Darby Allin beat Swerve Strickland and Christian. 4 bones out of 5. Are you seeing a pattern here with the bone ratings? This show was terrific. Will Ospreay pinned Chris Jericho. 4.5 bones out of 5. Match of the night. Don't doubt Chris Jericho now, because he will deliver for you. And he came out there and he did. And people were dissing it and saying, why not Ospreay and Omega? I want that. And, hey, I wanted Ospreay and Omega too. I wasn't whining about it like a lot of people, but that's what I wanted too. But just as soon as they said Ospreay versus Jericho, I knew, hey man, Jericho's going to step up and we're going to get an awesome match. And that's exactly what happened. So good for him, good for them. And Will Ospreay, after the show, went on to say that this show and the crowd was life-changing for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I would imagine getting to perform in front of your countrymen, mm-hmm. which he usually doesn't,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's usually in Japan. Getting to perform for your countrymen, 81,000 plus, send chills down your spine, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, in this, if Tony Khan is trying to lure Will Ospreay to AEW in 6 months, this was some pretty good bait, you know?
Yeah.
Good job by Tony Khan. In a match for the World Trios title, Badass Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed won the World Trios titles from the House of Black, and this was a no disqualification match. That rule laid down by Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. And in the main event, we saw a double pin, and then MJF, Adam Cole said, "Come on, let's keep going." He said 5 more minutes. MJF said, "No, we're going till we got a winner in fucking Wembley." So they went by that, and eventually MJF thought about using the ring, the Dynamite Diamond ring, which he's won 3 times in a row, 3 years in a row, rather. He did not, and eventually MJF did pin Adam Cole. Adam Cole threw a bit of a temper tantrum, and MJF had to come and remind him that they're still friends, and that's really what matters the most. And Adam Cole kind of came to his senses and realized that, and they hugged it out. And they left. They came in as friends, and they left as friends, and left as the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. And this match also was 4.5 bones out of 5. So we saw 4.5 bones out of 5 matches, or 3?
I'm not sure.
We saw 3. Yeah, the match of the night was Jericho losing to Ospreay. The second best match of the night was FTR beating the Young Bucks. The third best match of the night was MJF beating Adam Cole. All 4.5 bone matches.
So is your match of the week Ospreay versus
Match
Jericho,
of the week
then?
is Ospreay versus Jericho.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And those are your AEW weekly match results.
So up next we have storyline recaps from the week. What do you got, Asa?
Well, one of the big ones going on right now is, of course, the enemy-frenemy friendship between the world champion MJF and his tag team partner Adam Cole. The two men at the pay-per-view, they won the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles from Aussie Open. And then they met in the main event later in the night for the AEW World title. And MJF came out on top over Adam Cole. And Adam Cole was he's a bit despondent after the loss and needed some guidance. He was a bit whiny, you know. He was a bit.
I don't think he was whiny. I think he was just
pissed.
frustrated.
Yeah, pissed.
Yeah.
He was being pissy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But MJF came and got him and got him to hug it out, and MJF seems to have a legitimate friendship with Adam Cole, you know?
I know. Part of me, though, just still is waiting for the other shoe to drop, you know?
I don't think so. I think, eventually something will happen. It's just a question of who fucks it up, you know?
Yeah, I really hope that it's not for a long time, though. You know, I want them to keep this friendship going longer.
You want it to really hurt?
Yeah.
When they fuck it up?
Yeah. Well, it's just so good, them together, you know?
It is. It's been very entertaining. Not just in the ring, but the skits, whatever you want to call them, outside the ring. Whether they're at a bowling alley or where else have they been?
Park.
Trampoline park or what?
Did they go to a bowling alley?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, you're just using
Maybe they
that
did.
as a place
Maybe
people
they
hang out.
did.
No, I don't think they did.
Where the fuck ever they go. They've had a good time with it, and it's been pretty funny. All but one of the skits have been pretty funny, and I really didn't expect that they would be. So hats off to them for making something funny that really easily could have fallen flat.
This sort of goes with storylines, but I think it's important to let the listeners know, in case they didn't get to watch All In, that MJF did get to do his kangaroo kick during the tag match. So some of the storyline bleeds into the matches in various ways, and that was one way that it bled into the match.
All right, in other news, badass Billy Gunn unretires and wins gold. He retired for, 2 to 3 weeks? How long?
Yeah, 3 weeks, I think.
About 3 weeks?
4 weeks, I believe, actually.
So that's what we call a Disney retirement.
Why is that?
He probably took the family to Disney World.
Oh. Okay.
And retired. No, I don't know. He retired for 3 weeks, and now he returns not as Daddy Ass, but as Badass Billy Gunn. The only real difference we could see was that he was wearing a badass headband and t-shirt.
I have no idea.
I think so. But he returned, and he teamed with the Acclaimed, of course, and their dealer's choice rule was no holds barred. So basically meaning no disqualification. And so the match went with no disqualification, which meant that, unfortunately, Julia Hart could interfere. But she tried to interfere, and it didn't go very well for her. She got a Sesame Timbers, and that's something that we don't usually see. We don't usually see, in America at least, we don't usually see the male wrestlers beating up the female wrestlers. Almost never do we see that. Even in our mixed tags, you know, the men have to tag out as soon as the females tag in. The men have to tag out.
Yeah.
And the female wrestler or manager or whatever, they never get their comeuppance. You know, they can do any sort of wicked shit and they don't get hit. But this was almost never get hit.
Yeah.
But Julia Hart did here.
Yes, she
When
did.
we go through periods, so, you know, Julia Hart, Luna Vachon is what I meant to say. Luna Vachon used to wrestle men. Jacqueline used to wrestle men. And then we went through a period where we didn't have women wrestling any men. China wrestled men, and then we went through a period where we didn't have women wrestling men. It's strange how it kind of looks like things are going to open up, and we'll go more that way, and then we go backwards the other way, and then we go up and backwards and back and forth this way when we have kind of macho women, whatever you want to call them, tough women who can beat ass. We'll just call them that.
Yeah.
Tough women. So that's the thing is, you know, when you get down to the core of it, what should the sport be? Should it be, you know, who's toughest? You know, do we want women included in that? Just overall, who's toughest?
Well, I'm going to say yes because I want Rhea Ripley to wrestle men.
Yeah, I'd be for that. I'm for that.
I feel like the women's roster at WWE...
Would you be for Charlotte wrestling men?
It would depend on the man.
Yeah.
Because the believability with Charlotte wouldn't be there for most of the roster. Whereas I feel like, except for like the Giants, I feel like Rhea Ripley could hold her own with most of the men on the roster.
Yeah, Charlotte's pretty built.
Yeah, but she's so lanky.
Yeah, she's lanky. Yeah. I see. And see, that's the thing. That's why it's tough. Because then those conversations come up.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got way off course. We're talking about Billy Gunn. Oh, because they were beating up Julia Hart. So yeah, Billy Gunn comes right out of retirement and they win the World Trios Championship. So congratulations to Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think that the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn are going to continue with the open house rules challenges?
No.
And just call it something different, or
I don't.
no? Okay. So it'll just be regular belt contention.
Regular trios matches.
Yeah.
Although I keep saying this, I think what AEW should switch them to is the Mexican trios rules, where when a man goes out of the ring, another man can take his place.
Is that a tornado tag, or is that different?
No, a tornado tag. Tornado tag just means everyone is legal.
Oh, okay.
At the same time, everyone's legal.
Okay.
The Mexican trios rules are if one man leaves, so like if one man gets thrown out over the ropes, he leaves, there doesn't need to be a tag. One of his teammates just jumps right in.
Okay.
And it would keep it going.
Yeah, that's cool.
Keep the action going.
Mm-hmm.
Which we saw in one of the trios matches. I can't remember what team it was, but one of the teams picked that to be their rule.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't help them, but one of the teams picked that to be their rule. I think it was... I can't remember what team it was.
Well, I have to say I'm sad to see the House Rules challenges come to an end, because I really enjoyed that. I liked the variables, you know?
Yeah, me too. It was cool.
And the like seeing what strategy a team was going with by what stipulation they were picking.
I think it would be a neat tradition to keep alive in their trios division.
I do too.
To just have the challengers get to pick a stipulation.
That would be awesome. I guess they couldn't keep calling it Open House Rules or whatever, because they're not the House of Black anymore. But... just call it
a challenger's choice. Bam, you're done.
Yeah.
That's the challengers get one advantage in the trios match. You get to pick one rule.
No one ever tried our suggested Malachi Black's not allowed to use his legs rule.
Right. He has to walk on his hands. And...
that would have been fun to see.
See, that's the thing. You can't make asinine predictions. Make asinine rules.
Yeah.
See, eventually you run out of rules and you start repeating them pretty quickly, because there's only so many you can do until you start making up asinine rules, like Aleister Black can't use his... Malachi Black can't use his feet.
Yeah. That was a good rule.
And B, rules like extreme ones, you know? Like you have to let your opponent kick you in the face 10 times or something like that, you know?
Yeah. God.
Something like that. So it would be tough to decide what rules you can make and what rules you can't make. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think they repeated a few of them, so I think they were okay with repeating the rules, because they knew the match would still be good.
I'm just saying keep it interesting.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Keep it an interesting factor until it's, it'd be hard to keep it interesting until it's just like, they picked no DQ, let's go.
I hope that FTR. I hope that the Acclaimed aren't like FTR and stick with the pace with which House of Black was defending the belts. Yeah. Because they were, for a while there, they were defending them pretty, almost weekly. Right. And then they stopped for a while. But for a good bit, they were on a roll, until they started having, the Andrade storyline and then the stuff with the Acclaimed. It kind of slowed down. But I'd like to see those belts... and the tag belts, frankly, be defended frequently or more frequently.
I agree. Yeah, especially with the trios. The trios are, when they defend the belts and stuff, that's their most exciting division in that company. Yeah. And really, if you look at it that way, in the world, that's the most exciting division in the world. AEW trios. I'll say that. And over the past year... Yeah. The best of 7 series with the Death Triangle.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was so good.
Oh my God, the Death Triangle versus the Elite.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
That was...
That, and then, the House Rules matches with the House of Black. House of Black, just this perfect trios machine. All these great matches. It's been the best division in the world.
The Acclaimed have a lot to live up to. I had forgotten about all that.
Yeah. No, they do have a lot to.
There hasn't been a mediocre trios team that's held the belts. All of them have been stellar.
And frankly, it's nothing against them or their work rate or anything. They got to step their shit up.
Yeah, no.
They got to.
It is something against them because they've been doing the same match.
Yeah, well, I guess it is something against them, yeah.
I mean, it's... there's an Acclaimed formula match, and it's gotten so tired.
A little.
No,
yeah, they're no Lucha Brothers. They're no Lucha Brothers. Yeah. They're no Death Triangle. They're no House of Black.
They're no Elite.
They're no. Did I say the Elite?
No, you said Death Triangle, and then you said Lucha Brothers separately.
Oh, they're no Elite. They gotta step it up to show that they deserve these belts. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, what else are we on here? The Outcasts implode, but Saraya wins the belt. So yeah, the Outcasts certainly did implode in London.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
They should have dragged that out in that match longer.
Yeah, the match was only 9 goddamn minutes. Yeah, I guess Tony Khan, I'm looking at you.
You miss it.
9.5 minutes. Tony Khan, thanks. Jesus, man. What, you gotta catch a fucking bus?
Yeah.
9.5 minutes.
So we see at the beginning of the match them working together, Saraya and Tony. And then shortly thereafter, they start pushing each other off of the person that each of them is trying to pin. They're trying to pin the same person, and they're shoving each other.
We're talking about the Fatal 4-Way match at the pay-per-view.
I'm sorry, yes.
Tony Storm, Saraya, World Champion, Hikaru Shida, and...
Britt Baker,
DMD.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And so they start pushing each other, but then it seems like they're going to work it out, and that they're going to start working together again on these other two ladies until, I can't remember who she was trying to punch, but Tony Storm goes to punch someone on the outside and misses, and instead punches, of all people, Saraya's mother, to which Saraya was not too pleased, and that's when things devolved. Ruby Soho did a run-in, not to try and attack anyone, but to try and bring the two together, and Tony Storm just punched her right in the face. She was full of punches on that. I like it. And so Saraya wins the belt. Tony is left with her really wonderful gimmick that she's got going on right now, where she's like a 1940s starlet who's just like overly dramatic. And then we have Ruby Soho.
1940s starlet by way of 1980s Madonna.
No, I think it's actually accurate to 1940s, but she does look like, but that's what Madonna looked like too, though. So
that's my point. Yeah.
And then we have Ruby Soho, who's going to be trying to get the TBS belt at All Out. So it'll be interesting to see if she has any friends with her for that match, or if it's been a 3-way split. It looks like they're doing a 3-way split, like it's not just like one member of the Outcasts is leaving, but it looks like the Outcasts are dead.
Splitting apart, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I don't know where to start. I guess the Outcasts versus the Homegrown is done before it really ever even got started. Tony Khan never really tried too hard to make anything of the feud, which you could have done something with it. You could have done something interesting with it. But the time spent with the Outcasts just... It's kind of the gimmick was kind of treading water, and now the gimmick has drowned. and is over. And the bubbles are headed toward the surface, and it'll be very soon, and there won't be any bubbles at all. And we can move on from it.
Good. Is it dying like that extended metaphor?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you think Saraya's going to continue the spray paint? Because that's how she got her win over Toni Storm in the Fatal 4-Way. It was her and Toni going at it. She sprayed Toni in the face with the spray paint and then got the pin.
She may for a little bit, because that's kind of been her thing, the spray paint.
Yeah.
And especially, that's how she won the belt. She may continue with the spray paint. Yeah, Toni Storm's got her own thing going on with the, starlet. Ruby Soho, of course, with the punk rocker who has a lolling tongue, can't keep her tongue in her mouth. And Saraya with the Vandal gimmick. So I think she'll keep that for a little bit, yeah. But yeah, so it's fine. It's for the best. I mean, he never really made for that to work, for the Outcast to work, there has to be a homegrown cast against them, and he never did that. He kind of did it. He kind of did it for a couple weeks there, but he never really did it. Like, you got to be firm with that.
Yeah, he was like piecemealing it together week to week.
Yeah, you got to be firm with it and show who they are. And it may sound stupid, but this is how factions work. Make T-shirts.
Yeah, so you know who's
Give
in
them
the faction.
T-shirts so you know who's in the fucking faction. Yeah, homegrown. Three women in T-shirts, matching T-shirts. That's the faction.
Yeah,
that's them.
So do you think that Saraya and Toni are going to have a feud now, or do you think they're going to go their own separate ways? Like, is Toni becoming a face out of this with her starlet gimmick, or is she going to...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's coming, honestly.
I hope something's
coming.
All
I know is that Tony Khan... If he's not going to give women more than one match per show and I've said this, and I know I sound like a broken record, but that's too bad. Because Tony Khan is booking like a fucking broken record. If you're only going to have one women's match on a show with 11 matches, just stop having a women's division. When it's obvious that you're doing it just to placate people and you don't want to do it, dude, just stop doing it then. Let them go work somewhere else where they'll be featured. Just stop doing it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Just stop.
Or hire someone to be the women's booker. You know, like if you don't enjoy booking women's matches and you don't care about women's matches, but you still want to have a women's division, hire someone to be the women's booker. And
I heard Vince Russo's looking for work.
I'm gonna throw something at you. You know, I mean, and then they can be like, that can be their sole focus, so the women can actually have storylines and matches, not just random matches that have been thrown together clearly at the last minute for no real reason besides one's a face and one's a heel, you know? That would be nice.
It would be nice to have some sort of direction in the women's division, yes.
Yeah. Because they got some good women, and they just need to do something with them.
And especially between here and Ring of Honor, if you look at Ring of Honor as the proving ground for AEW, they have some talented women. They just have no direction, and you have no direction, then the fans aren't going to care, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to have some direction, and you got to feature the women. You got to have at least 2 women's matches per show. At least 2. That's not asking a lot. But when it's just one, it's the signal is obvious to the fans what that means. Mm-hmm. We're just doing this because.
Yeah.
When it's just one, you gotta have at least. You gotta have 2. Yeah, you gotta have 2. At least 2. and maybe 3 if it goes well, or more if it goes well. Depends how many matches you have on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Should be, just obviously the women in general are, and maybe some people are going to disagree with me on this, but they can if they want to. Obviously, the women are not as skilled as the men in general, if we're talking about the top of the top. So I would say I would book the women at just under 50%. So if you got a show with 8 matches, 3 of them should be women's matches. If you got a show with 9 matches, 4 of them should be women's matches. That's how I would book.
That's too much. No, because their women's roster is so much smaller than their men's roster.
That's how. No, but those should be your goals. That should be your goals.
Yeah. Well, but they would have to build up their roster.
Yeah, no, they would have to build up. Yeah. I'm not saying do it now. No. I'm saying ideally, in a perfect world, you could do that. Like WWE maybe could do that. They maybe could do that.
But like Mercedes Moné was in the audience at All In, which I guess is kind of a news item. And people are talking about whether or not she would want to come to AEW when her contract is up.
She was thinking, hey, I can get every other night off, and still get paid.
Yeah, if I were her, I wouldn't want to go to AEW because no one would ever see you wrestle,
Depends how much you like nights off and how much you like wrestling.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. If you want to attract stars to your company, female stars, you have to show them that they're going to get utilized, that people are going to buy their merchandise because you're giving them good storylines.
Right.
And AEW is not doing that.
Yeah, but if she can get paid just from wrestling twice a month, maybe she'll still choose them.
No, because she was getting paid at WWE, and she didn't like that she wasn't getting used. That was her problem. That's why she left WWE.
I don't think it was a problem that she wasn't getting used. I think the problem was that she was losing. She had an ego problem.
Oh. Well, if she has an ego problem, not getting used is not going to help that, I think...
No, it was just she was having to lose 2 women, and she was having a problem with the women that she was losing to. I ain't losing to her.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
That kind of shit.
I'm saying if she goes to AEW and she has a big ego, then that's still going to be a problem because if you're not getting used, that's going to hurt your big ego.
That's why I'm not getting on the train with all these other people being like, oh, they got to hire her.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Yeah. Didn't seem to go so hot the last time she was in a big company,
Well, she's doing well. And
every other time seemed to be like she was having some issue and walking off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because she didn't want to lose this or didn't want to lose that. And it's like, this is how the business works.
Yeah. So up next, since we're kind of talking about news, let's dive right in.
What you got more news?
So guys, I think we have some more ego stories.
I've got more news. Wait, do I still have more news?
You haven't done the news yet, babe.
I haven't done the news yet. What were we talking about?
We were talking about storylines.
Oh. Okay, I've got news now. Okay, this one I'm going to try and make quick.
Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
CM Punk and Jack Perry. I really am going to try and make this quick. I promise. Because if you're a wrestling fan, you've probably been reading this on the internet for, I don't know, what's today? Wednesday? You've probably been reading about this for 3 days. Supposedly, CM Punk and Jack Perry have both been suspended from AEW. The length of their suspensions is unknown. So here's what happened, supposedly. And this is, I'm telling you the story that is the best I can make it out. This has been pieced together from several different sources. So if you don't believe me, I don't know. I'm reading the same shit you are. Stories on the internet, so don't get mad at me. This is just what I think happened, pieced together based on stories on the internet,
Take from it what you will.
Leave
the rest behind.
Right. So, several weeks ago, Jack Perry wanted to do a stunt on glass. CM Punk kind of got hurt about. He got wind of it, and he said, "No, we're not doing that. We don't do that here." And I think what CM Punk thought was that CM Punk seems to think that it's a problem in this company that people don't want to wrestle. That they're fine with taking 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks off to shore up quote unquote injuries that they have and then come back. And I don't know. I don't know what people are saying within the company, how much they're hurt. I don't know if that's a problem or not. First I've heard of it. But he thought that's what Jack Perry was doing, was he wanted to work with real glass so he could say he got quote-unquote injured and could have a couple weeks off. So CM Punk says, we don't use real glass here on Saturdays. You use the fake glass, or you don't do this stunt at all. Something along those lines. So, Jack Perry doesn't like Punk butting in, but whatever. Then what happens at All In is Jungle Boy goes out and he and Hook are doing moves to each other on the hood of a limo. And Perry does a fisherman's suplex on who's he wrestling? Hook.
Hook on the windshield.
Right. On Hook on the windshield. And Perry ends up getting cut by the glass too. You can see that. But at one point, Perry grabs the camera and looks in and he says, "That's real glass. Cry me a river." And so Punk did not take kindly to that. He's the first match on the actual pay-per-view, so they're back at gorilla, the go position, gorilla position. Watching the match with a bunch of people, because Punk is up first. That's why he's right back there. So Punk doesn't like that. Who would? Nobody likes getting called out on fucking worldwide television. Why would you?
Well, no one would know except for Punk.
Except for I knew, and so did everybody else who reads the internet about wrestling.
You knew before the altercation happened?
Yeah.
That had happened? That discussion happened about the glass?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I knew. Yeah, I knew before it. Yes, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
No, I knew weeks ago when it first happened that it happened. Yeah.
I did not.
That's why I knew the context already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why people knew the context in which he said it. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So when he said it, everybody knew what he meant. And people business people, internet people knew, and people in the business knew. Mm-hmm. Those are the people who knew.
Yeah.
At least those subsets. Mm-hmm. So Punk doesn't like that. Who would? And Jungle Boy comes to the back, Perry, after his match, and Punk says something to the effect of, "Do you have a problem with me?" And I'm not sure what Perry said, but something happens, and Punk ends up grabbing him like in a front choke, and very quickly Samoa Joe gets Punk off of him, and it's over. And Jack Perry is led with security back to his dressing room, and Punk is pissed off, and he's saying things like he's pissed off, he's done with this shit happening here, and he doesn't want to work here, and he's going to quit, and this and that. And they go and they ask, somebody is sent, and they go and ask the second match, which I forget what it was, but they go and ask the second match, Can you be ready? Can you go first? And they say, no, not really, no. And then so they go and ask the third match, which is the trios match, Kenny Omega, his match, the Golden Elite match.
That's the match after Punk, is the Golden Elite match.
What?
The match after Punk is the Golden Elite match.
I thought that was the third match.
No, the third match is the Young Bucks versus FTR.
The second match is Omega?
Second match is Omega.
Oh, okay. So they go and ask them the second match. And Omega says, well, fuck, I guess we can go first, if we have to, when they're totally ready to go on second.
Mm-hmm.
But things get cleared up. Punk and Joe go on first. And then Punk, when he comes back after his match, he's led in and sort of escorted by security into his dressing room and not told not to leave, don't fuck around, that type of thing. We're done with that shit today. And then Jungle Boy at some point leaves. Punk is still there. It is then said that AEW does not set up Punk with a ride back to the hotel, a car or anything, and Punk is then lost and has to get help from Londoners to get back to his hotel. Has to get help from people just to get back to where he needs to go. So let's see what else was on here. So what I left off there, Punk told Tony Khan, there was a point in there where Tony Khan was in the room with Punk. Punk told Tony Khan he quit several times, and he chewed out Khan with quote-unquote harsh phrases. What that means, I have no idea, but that is what I read. Harsh
he made
phrases.
him feel bad about
I guess
himself.
he called him a son of a bitch and a whatever else, Harsh phrases. Like
things that would
jelly
get
spine and shit like that, yeah. So these are this is what's going around about this that happened. And it was said that CM Punk learned about the suspension through his lawyer. And so how long are they suspended for? We don't know. But the All Out pay-per-view is Sunday, and it's in Chicago, and CM Punk will not be at it. So that's a big loss. And man, the people who bought tickets already for AEW in Chicago are going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Rightly so. Mm-hmm. Rightly so. I mean, it says card is subject to change. Yeah. But
that's a big change.
That's a big change, especially when he's well.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
Well, you thought he was injured, or not injured, but hurt. So maybe the suspension, he can heal up some.
Yeah, I was saying I thought he looked like he'd been fighting injured for weeks now. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal with him is.
What would you do if you were Tony Khan at this point?
What would I do?
Would you keep
him? If this is true?
Yeah.
You got to fire the guy if this is true.
Yeah, I think
it's too much.
Second altercation with coworkers.
And if you called me names, you're at the fucking door.
Yeah, you wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, you're at the fucking door.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Now, what do I hope happens? For myself, as a selfish wrestling fan, I hope they all make up and everything's fine.
Yeah, me too.
Because I want to keep seeing CM Punk on my television because he is entertaining as fuck. Say whatever else you want about him. I don't have to put up with him. And these stories could all be fake. Who fucking knows? I don't. You don't, listener. Yeah. We don't fucking know.
You know what I think?
But we think we do. We think we do. And I listen to Brian Alvarez, who I think seems like a trustworthy person, says that he got the same report from no less than 5 different people about what happened. So...
You know what I think?
What?
I think they need to bring CM Punk back and let him be a heel so he has an outlet for all of his, rage and hate that he has boiling inside of him. Because this shit didn't happen when he was a heel at WWE, you know? Like, he didn't get in fights with his coworkers, and I'm sure it's not just like worse people work at AEW, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, how like if you don't have a creative outlet for your feelings, sometimes they can be overwhelming. I'm serious. I think maybe they just need to give him an outlet for his rage, you know?
I think, honestly, the guy may need some professional help.
Some counseling, yeah.
And I'm not being funny at all. I don't joke about mental health. And if he's not receiving mental health help, he needs it. If he's already receiving it, he needs to change to someone different or need some different drugs. That's what I think. Because these...
Does straight edge people take medication?
I have no idea what straight edge people do. I try not to hang out with them. They fucking are so annoying.
Yeah. I don't think they take medication.
I can't read that magazine. I'm straight edge. The dyes from the pages seep into my hands.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a neurotoxin. That dye comes from squids deep in the ocean, and the squids produce a neurotoxin. And, like, if you read the magazine for long enough, the neurotoxins seep into your hands, and it affects your brain.
Actually, ink is a petroleum byproduct.
Actually, I don't give a fuck. What are you on drugs? Are you pushing drugs? On me? On me? Straight edge, motherfucker!
Okay.
See, that's how that conversation would go.
I see.
So that's why I don't deal with them.
Okay. Weirdo.
They are weird. We're the weirdos. That wasn't me. That was them.
I see. All right. What else do we got on the news docket?
What else is on the news? So so whatever happens, I hope CM Punk finds happiness, because with all this that happens, he doesn't seem like a happy person.
Yeah, no.
So, I hope whatever's going on in his life, I just hope he finds happiness, finds peace, and that's all, and finds a way to get along with people. Because after, these numerous events, and now this one, the Jungle Boy and CM Punk thing, don't get me wrong, that's Jungle Boy's fault. He's running his mouth. He's part of that generation that thinks they can run their mouth, and they can type whatever they want, and they can say whatever they want, and nobody's going to fuck with them. And CM Punk is from the generation who will fuck with you if you talk shit about them. So... It's one of those things. Jungle Boy's asking for it, and CM Punk was ready to give it to him. So, totally Jungle Boy's fault, in my eyes. Now, should CM Punk have hit him? No, he should have been a bigger man and tried to talk it out. Does CM Punk have the right to hit him? Yeah, if somebody's talking fucking shit on worldwide television about you, yeah, go hit the motherfucker in the face, yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you on this.
Yeah. Oh, I know you are, but all that being said, yeah, I hope CM Punk finds some peace, finds some happiness, because he seems like a very unhappy person. So I hope he can find some happiness, because he keeps getting in this argument with Miro, this argument with Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. This with Tony Khan, 3 different people the same night. He has some sort of like oppositional defiance disorder. Yeah.
I think that's very, very possible.
Yeah.
Especially knowing about his background and how he grew up. I definitely think that's a very real possibility.
So, yeah, I hope the guy just gets his shit together and can entertain us and have his shit together. So, all right, what else have we got in news here? AEW is, they've added another pay-per-view to the calendar. Yay.
Do we have a date?
Well, I hope it's yay. I mean, I think...
Why would it not be yay? Their pay-per-views are always awesome.
The pay-per-views are always awesome, yes. I just don't want them to out do themselves and have too many, you know? I'm just not sure if I want them ending up with 12 a year, you know?
Yeah. I don't think they're going to go to that unless they do some
they're-
sort of streaming deal. You think they're doing it?
100% going to 12 a year, yes. Yeah.
Well, as long as they can keep them super hot. What is it called? Dream what?
Yeah, so it's
Wrestle Dream.
Wrestle Dream. It's a pay-per-view. It is being held in honor of Antonio Inoki. I don't know why I said that. Inoki. Being held in Seattle, Washington, October 1st. Being held at the Climate Pledge Arena, which I'm not sure who plays there. That may be where their hockey team plays. I'm not sure. That's a big arena to book. But yeah, so we've got All Out coming up on, let's see, what's it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Looks like a hockey arena.
Yeah, I think that's the hockey arena. The Seattle, what are they?
The Kraken?
Kraken. The Kraken, yeah, that's right. That's a cool name. That's where the Kraken play. So that's a big arena to book out. That's at least like 17,000 seats, 16,000 seats. I wonder how many they'll block off, or if they will block off any.
They got quite a few wrestlers from Seattle, to bring in a hometown crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been doing business in the Northwest there, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, we've got All Out coming up on the 3rd or the 4th? Saturday.
3rd.
The 3rd?
Friday's the 1st, yeah. It's the 3rd.
Friday's not the 1st, is it?
Friday is the 1st.
Okay. We've got All Out coming up on the 3rd. And then Wrestle Dream coming up October 1st. So that's a cool name for a pay-per-view. Is there any sort of special thing that they're doing, or to honor Inoki?
I would imagine they do something to honor him, but they haven't announced anything that I know of.
Okay. All right, and let's see. One more piece of news for you. Found it neat that there was a sort of a press scrum in the days after All In, and the journalists were talking to Will Ospreay, and they were talking to him about All In, and he called it life-changing, and said being able to appear in front of that many of his countrymen, 81,000, he called it life-changing. And so that's pretty cool, that's a big deal for AEW to be able to come into London and bring him that joy, to bring him that memory. You got to think that's going to be a big check mark for them when he becomes a free agent in 6 months. AEW delivered a life-changing moment. Big check. AEW, let me fight Kenny Omega. Big check. AEW, let me fight Chris Jericho. Big check.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting ahead of the pack here.
I hope so.
But WWE might literally give him a big check. So I could see Ospreay in WWE.
I could too. I could see him in either place.
I could see him in WWE. I think he would fit in well either place.
He's not going to be able to do the Tiger Driver 91 or whatever it's called anymore if he goes to WWE.
Right.
They're going to put some restrictions on him.
I could see him in either place. I could see him not fitting in well in WWE, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
And just languishing in the fucking mid-card and losing to fucking...
God, if they brought him over and made him a mid-carder, I would be enraged.
Yeah.
Enraged.
Yeah.
And I think so would fans who actually like wrestling,
Yeah. It would be one of those things where we'd have to go and, kidnap him from an event and take him take him away from them and take him to an AEW event, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we brought you home. This is home, Will. We brought you home.
To like a de-indoctrination.
Yeah. So that's happening. He said he really loved the All In, the crowd, and just the atmosphere of it. And Will Ospreay, great match with Chris Jericho. 4.5 bones, I gave it. Match of the night, I gave it. It wasn't as good as his last match with Kenny Omega. That was 5 bones. That was something. That was the best match I've seen this year, I think.
Yeah, me too.
I think that was the best match I've seen this year.
And we've seen Kenny Omega and Vikingo this year, so that's saying something. You know?
We've seen a lot of fucking matches this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We've got our rankings, folks. The top 5. We've got our custom top 5 coming out to you now. This is where Kay and I, we each made our own top 5. We have a custom point system. It's secret. And then...
I didn't realize it was secret.
It's a secret.
Okay.
And then we distribute the points to the gentlemen and the ladies. And then we break ties. Sometimes for the ties, we debate the ties. Sometimes someone says something right away to break the tie that makes so much sense, the other person's just like, you're right. Sometimes we debate a couple minutes. Sometimes we debate so much that we know it's not going to get solved, and we just flip a coin. So you never know how these ties are going to be resolved, and we will never tell you because it's part of the very secret process.
Sometimes I say, this is a hill I'm willing to die on.
That's true. That's true. All right, so let's see. What do we want to start on this week? Men, teams, or women? What do you want to do first?
Let's do women first.
Let's do women. We usually do the women first.
Oh, do we? Okay, then let's do the men first.
Okay. All right. For this week, the men top 5. You've got... he did not make the list last week. He is the new FTW champion this week. Hook, number 5. The man who still has only one loss in AEW. Lost to Jack Perry several weeks back. Number 4 on the list. Another man who did not make the list at all last week. The TNT champion, Luchasaurus. Been a pretty dominant champion, even though Christian's been walking around with the belt, parading as though he's the TNT champion. Luchasaurus has had a dominant reign when they let him hold the belt and when they let him defend it and all that. Number 3 in the men's top 5. Another one who did not make the list last week. A lot of new faces on the list this week. Number 3, Darby Allin. All right. Number 2 on the list. He was 4th place in last week's list, so moving up 2 spots. He is the international champion. He is the Energizer Bunny of AEW. He's defended his international title, 21, 22 times?
Oh, it's more than that now.
Just keeps going. Amazing title run. He's lifted up his international title to be maybe the second highest men's title.
Definitely.
Orange Cassidy, number 2 in the men's rankings. We both had him at second in our men's rankings, I think. Yeah,
we did.
And number 1, unanimous number 1, very strong world champion, man who had a great title defense against Adam Cole at All In, MJF. And that is your men's top 5. MJF, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, Luchasaurus, and Hook. All right, what do we think next? Women's or teams?
Let's do teams next.
All right, teams top 5. Number 5, falling 1 spot from last week, the Young Bucks. Number 4, new to the list. This team got a win. Let me see where they get a win. They got a win on Collision this week over Darius Martin and Action Andretti. John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order making the top 5 there.
Getting some love.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Did we both put them, or
no? You did.
I put them. Okay.
Yeah. I guess I was gonna say don't tell anyone, but we're putting it on the podcast. Yeah, I didn't put the Dark Order. I should have. I love them.
3rd place, and we both had this team. The Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Still weird to say.
Mm-hmm.
Better Than You, Baby. Adam Cole and AEW World Champion MJF. Number 3 on the tag charts.
Is he the first person in AEW to hold 2 belts, MJF?
Simultaneously?
Yeah. I can't think of someone.
I think so. I don't, because Kenny Omega didn't do it.
No.
He would have been the only one I would have thought to have done it. So I think MJF is the first person. Yes.
That's cool.
I think he is. Number 2, unanimous number 2, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, team that picked up the win at All In, FTR. Picked up a big win at the pay-per-view. And the number 1 team, and remember the team ranking, this goes for tag team and trios. Number 1 team were not even ranked last week. Just came up with such a big win at the pay-per-view, they had to be number 1. Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, your AEW World Trios Champions. We both had them at number 1, I believe.
Yes.
We both had them at number 1. So number 1, Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. Number 2, FTR. Number 3, Better Than You, Baby. Number 4, Silver and Reynolds. Number 5, Young Bucks. And now for the AEW Women's Rankings. Number 5, same spot she was in last week, Willow Nightingale. Number 4, falling 3 spots from the top, the former 2-time women's champion, Hikaru Shida. And number 3, falling a spot from number 2, Toni Storm. In 2nd place, rising a spot from number 3 last week, the TBS champion, Chris Statlander. And in the top spot, she was not even in the top 5 last week. The AEW Women's World Champion, Saraya.
She wasn't even in my top 10 last week.
She would have been in my top 10 last week, yeah. Yeah.
Not mine.
But not my top 5, no. So yeah, Saraya. Number 2, Statlander. Number 3, Storm. Number 4, Sheeta. Number 5, Nightingale.
And then that takes us to our topic of the week.
And what's our topic of the week?
Our topic of the week is squash and jobber matches.
Okay.
So
I've seen quite a few of those in my day.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them recently, even some might say, especially if you spend your Saturday nights watching Collision.
Right.
So we complain about the number of squash matches and jobber matches on Collision, as we should, because there are too many. My question to you is, do you think squash matches and jobber matches are necessary at all? Or do you think they're something that should be done away with?
So I think they do serve a purpose, because sometimes you do want to just show how dominant a guy is. You want to just have a guy crush somebody without any fear of it damaging another guy's reputation. I mean, sometimes you just want to go out there and have him destroy someone. And if you get just fucking destroyed, that's going to hurt your reputation. If you get 0 moves or 1 move in, that's pretty pathetic. It's going to hurt your reputation. So that's why we have jobbers. So we have people there to take those losses, and their reputation doesn't get hurt because they have no reputation, or they have a reputation as a jobber. So they are necessary because, like I said, sometimes you want to get that across, that this guy is dominant, he's brutal, he's bruising, and he will fuck you up. And so watch out for him.
So that's squash matches. What about jobber matches that aren't squashes?
So I think jobber matches, yes, are needed also.
Just to clarify for our listeners, squash matches are matches that are like, what would you say, less than a minute or a minute and a half?
A squash match would be a match, I would say 3 minutes or under.
Really? Okay,
I would say 3 minutes or under. Okay. Where one side is just dominant over the other side and gets the win. And gets in, over 90% of the offense.
And then how would you define a regular jobber match?
A jobber match is a match where one side is there just to lose. They have no chance of winning, and everyone in the building knows it.
But they still can get some offense in to
but
make
they
it
still
a real
can
match.
get some. Oh, yeah. They have ability. They're not losers. They are losers. They're not helpless losers.
Yeah.
They have ability. They can get some moves in on you.
Yeah.
They've been around the block a time or two. They've wrestled some opponents. They've seen a thing or two. So they can get you. Don't get over cocky because they can get you. They've had their wins. They just maybe haven't had their wins in a couple months.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a jobber match.
So what do you think the importance of a jobber match is?
So the importance of a jobber match, same thing. That's there to get a guy over. When you want a little more of a competitive spirit to a match. So the guy, he's nowadays the nice way that we call like George South, a guy we met at AML matches around here. AML is our local independent wrestling league. And there's a very nice gentleman named George South who we talk to every time we see him. And always takes the time to talk to us and is always very nice and courteous. And he still wrestles. And I'm not sure how old he is, honestly.
He's definitely at least in his 60s.
I believe he's over 60 for sure,
Yeah.
yes. And he was, not anymore, he was in WCW and WWF, and he was a jobber. Or, if you want to be nice about it, he was an enhancement talent.
Oh, is that what they called it?
Right. So, the role of those guys is to make the other guy look like $1 million. So, they need to sell.
Yeah.
They need to sell the moves and make them look like they hurt. The submissions really get screaming on it, like it's excruciating to you. The punches, once you've gotten hit with a third punch, a fourth punch, really go down, hit the canvas hard with your hands when you go down, slap the shit out of it. Going down with all your might. They're there to enhance your abilities So the jobber match is there to enhance you. That is their role. So most matches, you need to make yourself look good. That's your opponent always should also. But that's not their number one role. Their number one role is to make themselves look good. Your number one role is to make yourself look good too. You get me?
Yeah.
But in a jobber match, the name of the game is make the star look good to enhance his talent. So that's why a jobber match is useful every now and again. And you just show how effective his moves are. And then, you can fight and say the first 5 minutes, the first 4 minutes, the babyface hero, he wins, he's beating his ass. But say then 4 minutes in, this evil jobber who's been around the block, like I said, he's seen, all the fans know him, they know he usually loses, but they also know he's been around. And they know he's won a match or two. Doesn't always lose, just usually does. He starts to get something going. And like I say, he starts getting something going on you. So you gotta sell for the jobber now. You're in peril now. And so hopefully you and the jobber did good enough in the first 4 minutes that the fans are behind you now.
Yeah.
And really are hoping that you're going to squash this run by the jobber. And if you do it right, by the time, say, 6 minutes total into the match, by the time you've squashed this comeback by the jobber and are ready to go home, or ready to get your momentum back and go home, say, call it an 8-9 minute match total.
Will you tell our listeners what go home means?
Go home means end the match, means to start the process of ending the match. So what was this? Okay, so by the time you're ready to go home, the fans should be way more into you than they were even those first 5 minutes where you were beating this jobber's ass.
Yeah.
Because the jobber did such a good job of selling for you at first, and then did his comeback, and now is doing such a great job selling for you again. That jobber has enhanced your talent, and so also has enhanced what this match means. And so if you've both done your roles, the fans are now, like I said, at the end of this match, are for you more than they were at the beginning even. And they don't know why. They've been tricked into it. It's the oldest trick in the book,
Yeah.
But that's the way a jobber match usually works. And that's why they're so valuable, is because it's an easy way to get a crowd on your side. It's the easiest way to get a crowd on your side.
So how often do you think these things, squash matches first and then jobber matches, how often do you think they should be utilized? And is it okay to put one of each on the same show?
It's okay to put one of each on the same show? Sure, but I wouldn't go much more than that past it. And if you're doing an indie show, I wouldn't do one of each. I would do one or the other.
I'm talking about the big leagues here.
Yeah, if you're doing a TV show, it's fine. But if you're doing an indie show, I would only do one or the other.
And how often for a TV show? Because, one of our complaints is the frequency with which these are happening on Collision. So
yeah. What
do you think is the acceptable? Because I think we both agree that they are necessary from time to time.
Nowadays, I would say maybe a jobber match, maybe every other week. And as for a squash match, maybe say every 3 weeks, if you're going to do them.
Oh, I'm like every 2 months for a squash match.
I was going to say every month.
really
every
hate-
3 weeks, every month.
I hate a squash match.
Yeah.
Because they're often so short that they don't even highlight the talent of the person that's doing the squashing.
Well,
you know?
a lot of times the squash match, you got to watch out for it. Because if you're using it right, the only reason it's there is to get you in the ring for something else. It's just an excuse to get character A in the ring, in the building.
Can you explain that? I don't understand what you're saying.
We have segment A ready for wrestler A.
Mm-hmm.
But segment A doesn't work unless wrestler A is in the building. Why is he coming to the building?
Oh,
because he has a match. But we don't have 10 minutes on the show. So what do we do? Squash match.
Okay, so
you understand?
It's not
we
just...
have 1 minute, but we don't have 10 minutes to have a match.
Yeah.
So squash match segment.
So that's a big part of it, not just to have someone squash someone to look like the biggest dominant force, but also sometimes just to get them in the ring.
Right. To get them in the ring.
Okay.
To get them where they need to be. Now, it's a happy accident that you also get to make them look like a badass.
Yeah.
But a lot of times part of it is just to get them in the ring because you have something coming up next that involves them being in the building or in the ring.
Interesting. I'll have to watch for that. I never put that together.
And like I said, you don't have another reason for them to be there or whatever. You know, it's just the easiest way to explain them being there.
So you say jobber match like every other week?
Yeah.
And then squash match once a month?
Let's say once a month.
I'm going to say...
At most.
I'm going to say
I'm
longer than that.
I'm not a big fan of the squash match unless you're a newer character that's also mysterious. Because that way it is interesting to see you come in and just beat the shit out of someone and leave. That is interesting. But if we've known you, if you're a character we've seen for 10 years, a squash match is the least interesting thing you can do. It's like, oh, look, there's Steve again. Here he comes. He's going to beat this guy's ass and hit this move we already know and leave. Then a squash match we don't need to see.
Like a Brock Lesnar match.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't... Brock Lesnar squash match we don't need to see. We've fucking seen it. But if we... You know, who comes to mind, when I was a kid, there was a character named Adam Bomb. And he was red, like tanned. His skin was pink, basically. I don't know where they made this guy go tanning, but they basically said, tan to the point you look like you were exposed to radiation. And he wore contacts to make his eyes look green. And he wore these goggles that made him look like he was working at an atomic testing site. And they said he was from 3 Mile Island, and his finisher was the power bomb. And this guy was he was muscular, just power wrestler, and he would just come in and punch guys around and smash them around and power bomb them and leave. And this was interesting because his character was so odd. And he was managed by Johnny Polo, an evil polo player. And so the question was like, how the fuck did these two meet,
Yeah.
And why is he a wrestler? But you never got any answers because all he ever did was come in and beat ass and leave. So that kind of character, that's good to have a squash. Adam Bomb.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else, like... Goldberg
right, is who came to my
is
mind.
the ultimate squash, where he was mysterious. All we knew about him, well, he used to play in the NFL. We knew he used to play in the NFL. His name's Bill Goldberg. That's all we knew about him.
Yeah.
And that's what was cool about him. Because he would come in, do his entrance, beat ass, and leave. And that's what people liked about him.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't see him on commercials, and you didn't see him doing this or that, and you didn't see him on late night talk shows and anything else.
He made the smoke come out of his mouth too, right? As part of his
He
entrance.
would breathe, yeah, he would stand, oh man, it has to be cancerous.
Yeah.
He would stand where his pyrotechnics were, and he would breathe in the smoke through his mouth, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was through his mouth.
And then breathe the smoke out through his nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. He's gonna die of cancer.
Let's hope not.
I hope not, but fuck, he did that over 100 times.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But man, Goldberg was awesome. And he went on this run, of over 100 and over 100 wins, undefeated, and the crowds went crazy for him. Even when WCW was starting to dissipate, when their support was starting to dissipate, crowds went crazy over Goldberg because he was a man of mystery. And that's why a squash match worked for Goldberg. That's because he was a man of mystery. But yeah, those are my beliefs on squash matches and jobbers, anyways.
Yeah. Well, cool. So, Asa, when can people hear from us again?
Well, they can next hear from us. Well, they can next hear from us tomorrow, because we're gonna do a preview show for
Payback.
WWE Payback, the pay-per-view. And that pay-per-view is on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then Friday, you can hear from us, and we're going to do a pay-per-view preview for AEW All Out, and that pay-per-view is on Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, so Thursday, Payback preview, Friday, All Out preview.
And then you can always listen to us on Saturdays for WWE Weekly.
Right, WWE Weekly. So three days, 3 shows. Don't let it confuse you. Just, we have a show coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. If you are confused, don't forget you can subscribe and just be sent every show that we do, and you don't miss any of them. Also, wherever you listen to us, please give us 5 stars, 5 lucky horseshoes, 5 bones, whatever, 10 bones, whatever they'll let you give us. Rate us high, because then that's how we get new listeners, that's how we make new friends, and that's how we can all talk about wrestling and have a wonderful life together. So folks, thank you. That has been This Week in AEW. Thank you very much for listening, and we're going to keep playing around with the format and changing things here and there, but I think we like it pretty well so far. And thanks for listening, and as Mick Foley would say, have a nice day. Bye.